Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Anubha Rohatgi and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says empowerment of villages is top priority of government. Addresses public function at Paronk village in Kanpur. President Ramnath Kovind visits his native village, Paronk in Kanpur Dehat, with Prime Minister Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Government is committed for TB-free India by 2025, says Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia. Centre asks Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Karnataka and Maharashtra to take measures for effective management of COVID-19. Centre directs Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Odisha to take urgent steps to ensure cleanliness during Kedarnath, Amarnath and Rath Yatras. DMRC to begin its services at 6 a.m. this Sunday to facilitate civil services aspirants appearing for examination held by UPSC. 7 charged to death in private bus mishap near Kalburgi in Karnataka. Prime Minister expresses deep grief over loss of lives. Indian Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand defeats China's Wang Hao in the third round to remain on top of the standings in Norway Chess Tournament. And in French Open tennis, men's singles semi-final between Rafael Nadal and Alexander Zverev underway. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said the development of villages is his government's priority. Many schemes have been launched for this purpose and many facilities are now reaching villages. He said this while addressing a gathering at Paronk village, the native village of President Ramnath Kovind in Kanpur Dehat district of Uttar Pradesh.
आज भारत के गांव में सबसे तेज गति से सड़कें बन रही हैं। आज भारत के गांवों में तेज गति से ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया जा रहा है। आज भारत के गांवों में तेज गति से घर बन रहे हैं। एलईडी स्ट्रीट लाइटें लग रही हैं। शहरों के साथ साथ हमारे गांव में भी विकास के हर मार्ग पर कदम से कदम मिलाकर के चले, ये नए भारत की सोच भी है और नए भारत का संकल्प भी है.
The Prime Minister appealed to people to contribute in building and maintaining Amrit Sarovars. He also asked them to adopt natural farming in maximum numbers. The Prime Minister said the collective effort of everyone will turn the dream of Atmanirbhar India into a reality. He said, our villages have the most potential and labour force and the highest dedication. That is why empowerment of villages of India is one of the top priorities of our government, Mr. Modi added. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, also visited Paronk this afternoon. The President is on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh from today, and on the first day of his tour he visited his native village. The Prime Minister, along with the President, attended Mera Gaon Meri Dharohar program organized in Paronk under the series Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the soul of the country resides in villages and the village lives in our soul.
हम कहीं भी क्यों न पहुंच जाएं, बड़े-बड़े शहरों या दुनिया के किसी भी कोने में क्यों न बस जाएं, अगर हमने अपने गांव को जिया है तो हमारा गांव हमारे भीतर से कभी नहीं निकलता है। वो हमारी रगों में बस जाता है, वो हमारी सोच में हमेशा रहता है। हम इसलिए कहते हैं कि भारत की आत्मा गांव में बसती है, क्योंकि गांव हमारी आत्माओं में बसता है.
The Prime Minister said the government is working for providing facilities to the farmers to increase their income and 100% strengthening of villages, which was the dream of Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar.
अब देश का एक लक्ष्य है हर योजना का 100% लाभ 100% लाभार्थियों तक पहुंचाना, यानी 100% सशक्तिकरण, समरसता और समानता का बाबा साहब का यही वो सपना था जिसे आधार बनाकर उन्होंने हमें हमारा संविधान दिया था.
Cornering opposition parties over nepotism, the Prime Minister said the forces involved in Parivarvad are uniting against him. He said that he would like to see a strong opposition in the country. Addressing the gathering, President Ramnath Kovind thanked the Prime Minister for coming to his native village. He appreciated the Prime Minister for his commendable work for the country.
इसे मैं पूरे देश का सौभाग्य मानता हूं कि प्रत्येक नागरिक के जीवन को सरल व सुखमय बनाने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी सतत प्रयत्नशील रहते हैं। उन्होंने भारत माता की सेवा करने के अर्थ को नए आयाम दिए हैं। उन्होंने राष्ट्र सेवा और जन कल्याण की अवधारणा को नई सार्थकता प्रदान की है।
The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, said the arrival of both the President and the Prime Minister at this village is a historic moment. He said Paronk village has become digital and a lot of other development works have also taken place in the village. Union Home Minister Amit Shah is holding a high-level meeting in New Delhi to review the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha and senior officials are attending the meeting. Last month too, Mr. Shah held meetings to review the security situation in the Union Territory as well as the preparations for Amarnath Yatra. The minister had directed security forces and the police to conduct coordinated counter-terrorism operations proactively. Mr. Shah had said that the security forces should ensure zero cross-border infiltration to wipe out terrorism in J&K.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has hit back at the unfair criticism on Indian oil purchase from Russia amid the Ukraine war that has created a knock-off effect on the world economy. While defending India's oil imports from Russia, Dr. Jaishankar stressed that it is important to understand how the Ukraine conflict is impacting the developing countries. He also questioned why only India was being questioned while Europe continues to import gas from Russia amid the Ukraine war. Responding to a question on whether India's oil imports from Russia is not funding the ongoing Ukraine war, the minister said he does not want to sound argumentative. He made these remarks at the GlobeSec 2022 Bratislava Forum being held in Slovakia on the topic Taking Friendship to the Next Level, Allies in the Indo-Pacific region. Speaking further on importing of Russian oil by India, Dr. Jaishankar said the packages of sanctions imposed by the European Union are imposed keeping in mind the interest of certain European nations. He said India handled the COVID-19 pandemic prudently and that the country is largely out of COVID-19 with a strong sense of economic recovery. Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia said the government is striving hard to make the country TB-free by 2025. He said a campaign is going to be launched on community support for better treatment and cure for TB patients in few days. While virtually interacting with media in New Delhi today, Mr. Mandavia said there are 20 to 25 lakh TB patients across the country. He said the government is continuously working for eradication of TB, but support from society is required to make the country TB-free and a healthy nation.
एक निक्षय पोर्टल है। आने वाले दिनों में एक अभियान चालू करना है। देश में एक लोक भागीदारी के रूप में हम टीबी को कैसे नाबूद करें, उसकी कार्ययोजना उसमें बताई गई। लोक भागीदारी कैसे सुनिश्चित हो। देश में जिन्होंने अपनी कंसर्न दी है, ऐसे सभी टीबी पेशेंट ब्लॉक वाइज, डिस्ट्रिक्ट वाइज, उसकी सूची उसमें शामिल है। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप, मैं, मेरी सारी मिनिस्ट्री, देश की एनजीओ, जनप्रतिनिधि, नागरिक, 25 लाख लोग हमारे टीबी पेशेंट है, उसको टीबी मुक्त करने में मदद नहीं कर सकते क्या?
The minister said a drive will be initiated for clearing the pendency of cataract operation, which were held up due to COVID crisis and lockdown.
The centre has asked the governments of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Karnataka and Maharashtra to continue implementation and monitoring of necessary measures for prompt and effective management of COVID-19. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan has written a letter to these 5 states in view of the rise in weekly COVID cases and positivity rate. In the letter, Mr. Bhushan advised the states to ensure compliance with various advisories issued by the Health Ministry. He said the 5-fold strategy like test, track, treat, vaccination should be followed with continued focus on COVID-appropriate behavior, monitoring clusters of new COVID-19 and adequate testing. The National Health Authority NHA has announced the successful integration of National Telemedicine Service eSanjeevani with its flagship scheme Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission ABDM. The integration allows the existing users of eSanjeevani to easily create their Ayushman Bharat health account Aabha and use it to link and manage their existing health records like prescriptions and lab reports, etc. Users would also be able to share their health records with doctors on eSanjeevani, which will help in better clinical decision making and ensuring the continuum of care. Speaking about the significance of this integration, Dr. R.S. Sharma, CEO of the National Health Authority, said that Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission aims at building digital highways to bridge the gaps in existing digital health solutions and stakeholders in India.
Over 193 crore 83 lakh doses of COVID vaccines have been administered in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. More than 12 lakh 5,000 COVID vaccine doses were administered to the eligible beneficiaries yesterday. Meanwhile, the country has reported over 4,000 new cases during the last 24 hours. The national recovery rate now stands at 98.74%. In Odisha, Alaka Mohanty of Biju Janata Dal has secured over 93,000 votes in the by-poll to the Braj Rajnagar assembly seat. Her nearest rival, Kishore Chandra Patel of Congress, secured 27,791 votes, while BJP's Radha Rani Panda has got 22,560 votes. Official declaration of the winner is awaited.
Two TRS candidates, D. Damodar Rao and B. Parthasarathy Reddy, have been elected unopposed to the Rajya Sabha in the biennial elections to the Council of States. Noted environmentalist Sant Balbir Singh Sichewal and entrepreneur, educationist and philanthropist Vikramjit Singh Sahani have been declared elected unopposed for Rajya Sabha from Punjab. They had filed nominations as candidates of Aam Aadmi Party, which has an overwhelming majority in the Punjab Assembly.
In Jharkhand, both candidates have been elected unopposed in the biennial election to fill the two vacant seats for Rajya Sabha from Jharkhand. Both the candidates, Aditya Sahu from BJP and Dr. Mahua Majhi from Jharkhand Mukti Morcha JMM, have been elected unopposed to the upper house. In Chhattisgarh, Rajiv Shukla and Ranjit Ranjan have been elected unopposed to the Rajya Sabha. Today was the last day for the withdrawal of nominations for two Rajya Sabha seats from Chhattisgarh.
In Bihar, all 5 candidates, including Misa Bharti, daughter of RJD Chief Lalu Prasad, have been elected unopposed in biennial election of Rajya Sabha. The other 4 candidates are Fayaz Ahmed RJD, Khiru Mahato Janata Dal United, Satish Chandra Dubey and Shambhu Sharan Patel of the BJP. 6 Rajya Sabha candidates from Tamil Nadu were declared elected unopposed today. As the last date for the withdrawal of nominations drew to a close this evening, there were only 6 candidates against as many vacancies, including 3 from the DMK, 1 from its alliance partner Congress and 2 from the AIA-DMK.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says empowerment of villages is top priority of government, addresses public function at Paronk village in Kanpur. President Ramnath Kovind visits his native village, Paronk in Kanpur, Dehat, with Prime Minister Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Government is committed for TB-free India by 2025, says Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia. Centre asks Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Karnataka and Maharashtra to take measures for effective management of COVID-19. Centre directs Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Odisha to take urgent steps to ensure cleanliness during Kedarnath, Amarnath and Rath Yatras. DMRC to begin its services at 6 a.m. this Sunday to facilitate civil services aspirants appearing for examination held by UPSC. 7 shot to death in private bus mishap near Kalburagi in Karnataka. Prime Minister expresses deep grief over loss of lives. Indian Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand defeats China's Wang Hao in third round to remain on top of the standings in Norway Chess Tournament. And in French Open Tennis, the men's singles semi-final between Rafael Nadal and Alexander Zverev underway. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी, तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। आपका अभ्यास, हमारा प्रयास।
The centre has asked the governments of Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Odisha to take urgent steps to ensure high levels of cleanliness during the ongoing Kedarnath Yatra and upcoming Amarnath Yatra and Rath Yatra. In this regard, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Manoj Joshi, has written to the Chief Secretaries of Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Odisha. National teams from the ministry are being deputed to these states to take stock of the preparations underway and also to provide inputs for improving sanitation and garbage management. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his 89th Mann Ki Baat address last month, had expressed his concern regarding the heap of filth in Kedarnath. Mr. Modi had appealed for maintaining the dignity of these pilgrimage sites through purity and cleanliness, as it is imperative that we abide by the resolution of cleanliness.
हमारे यहाँ जैसे तीर्थ यात्रा का महत्व होता है, वैसे ही तीर्थ सेवा का भी महत्व बताया गया है। और मैं तो ये भी कहूँगा, तीर्थ सेवा के बिना तीर्थ यात्रा भी अधूरी है। देवभूमि उत्तराखंड में से कितने ही लोग हैं जो स्वच्छता और सेवा की साधना में लगे हुए हैं।
And now let us listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On 3rd June 1857, the First War of Independence reached Neemach, Madhya Pradesh, as the sepoys rose in the uprising against British rule. A brigade of native Bengal troops stationed at Neemach mutinied and marched to Delhi. Neemach was the most southerly place to which the uprising extended. European officers took refuge in the fort in the city and were later besieged by independence activists from Mandsaur. The British defended the city until relieved by the Malwa field force.
Historically, Neemach was the location of a palace in the district of the Ajmer province. Originally a part of the territory of Udaipur princely state, it was given to the Scindias in 1768 to pay off debts incurred by the king of Mewar. After that, it became a British cantonment of Gwalior princely state.
After the uprising was suppressed, the city became the headquarters of the Malwa.
We remember revolutionary freedom fighter Abani Nath Mukherjee, who was born on the 3rd of June 1891 in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. While studying in college, Abani got inspired by the revolutionary freedom movement against British colonialism in India.
After completing his studies, Abani left India and joined the network of Indian revolutionaries residing abroad. He took charge of raising funds and collecting arms and ammunition in Germany and Japan, and supplying these to the revolutionaries resisting colonialism on Indian soil. Mukherjee came back to India in 1912 and continued his work by joining a revolutionary organization in Uttar Pradesh. He was arrested by the British in Singapore while returning from Japan.
Abani, however, managed to escape to Europe and established Indian Independence Party in 1922 in Berlin with the help of comrades like Suren Kar, Bhupendranath Datta and Muhammad Barkatullah. He also secretly visited Chennai, Kolkata and Dhaka and lived in India till 1924. Abani retired from active revolutionary politics and went to the USSR, where he engaged himself in literary works. Abani died in exile on the 28th of October 1937. We salute the great Indian.
On June the 3rd, 1947, The last British Viceroy of India, Mountbatten, proposed the June the 3rd Plan, which is also called the Mountbatten Plan. The plan included the principles of partition, autonomy, sovereignty to the two new nations, and their right to make their own constitution. The princely states were given a choice to either join India or Pakistan. This plan was put into action by the Indian Independence Act 1947, which was passed in the British Parliament and received royal assent on 18th of July 1947.
According to the provisions of the Mountbatten Plan, British India was to be partitioned into two dominions, India and Pakistan. The constitution, framed by the Constituent Assembly, already formed in 1946, would not be applicable to the Dominion of Pakistan, and the question of its separate Constituent Assembly would be decided by the new Dominion. The princely states were given the choice to either remain independent or accede to India or Pakistan.
The British suzerainty over these kingdoms was terminated. To fix the international boundaries between the two countries, the Boundary Commission was established, chaired by Cyril Ratcliffe. The commission was to demarcate Bengal and Punjab into the two new countries. The date for the transfer of power was to be August the 15th, 1947.
The consequences of the partition continue to affect the new nations and their citizens.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Delhi Metro train services for Phase 3 sections, which usually begin at 8 a.m. on Sundays, will begin at 6 a.m. this Sunday. The service arrangement is being made to facilitate the candidates appearing for the Civil Services examination held by Union Public Service Commission, UPSC, this Sunday. Public Relation Officer of Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, Anuj Dayal, informed that under this arrangement, the service facility will be available on these metro lines: Dilshad Garden to Shahid Sthal, Noida City Centre to Noida Electronic City, Mundaka to Brigadier Hoshiar Singh, Badarpur Border to Raja Nehar Singh, Majlis Park to Shiv Vihar, Janakpuri West to Botanical Garden, Dhansa Bus Stand to Dwarka. In Karnataka, 7 passengers, including 2 children, were charred to death in a road accident that occurred in the early morning today in the outskirts of Kalburagi district near Kamlapura Taluk today. The private bus carrying 29 passengers collided with a car and caught fire. While 22 passengers escaped, the rest were charred to death. The bus was completely gutted in the fire. Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has expressed grief over the death and has wished early recovery for those injured in the accident. The bus was carrying passengers from Goa and going back to Hyderabad. The deceased were from Telangana.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed grief over the road accident in Karnataka's Kalburagi district. In a tweet today, Mr. Modi said his thoughts are with those who have lost their loved ones due to this tragedy. He prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured. The Prime Minister said the local administration has been helping affected persons. Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has announced 3 lakh rupees ex gratia each to the deceased and 50,000 rupees to every injured person in the Kalburagi road mishap in Karnataka state.
The News Services Division of All India Radio will bring the 6th episode of a special series Jammu Kashmir Ek Nayi Subha at 9:30 p.m. tonight. The special program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies. It will also be available on our website newsonair.gov.in and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. The World Bicycle Day was observed in Manipur today in different areas, carrying the message of not to use drugs and elimination of poppy plant cultivation in the state. The state government organized a bicycle rally in Churachandpur district today as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and the rally covered 8-kilometer road. The cyclists carrying the placards on making Manipur drugs and poppy plant free zone state. Later, the cyclists conducted a mass tree plantation program at Churachandpur ground.
Indian shooter Anjum Modgil clinched a silver in the women's 50 meters rifle 3 positions as India moved up to third spot in the medals tally at the ISSF World Cup in Baku, Azerbaijan today. Anjum went down 12-16 in the gold medal match to Denmark's Rikke Mang Ibsen. It is Anjum's second individual World Cup silver in the event. The men's three-peat trio of Swapnil, Deepak Kumar and Goldie Gurjar also won a silver in the team competition. Indian Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand continued his winning campaign in the Norway chess tournament as he defeated China's Wang Hao in the third round to remain on top of the standings. Anand pulled off a stunning win against world number 1 Magnus Carlsen on Monday, followed by 3 straight wins over former world champion Vasilin Topalov, Maxime Vachier-Leclerc and Hao.
Haryana has geared up to host the Khelo India Youth Games 2021. The 4th edition of Khelo India Youth Games 2021 will be formally inaugurated tomorrow by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who will be the chief guest at the opening ceremony of this grand sports festival. The Chief Minister said the Games will play an important role in taking forward Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dream mission. In the French Open tennis tournament, 5th seed Rafael Nadal is now playing against 3rd seed Germany's Alexander Zverev in the men's singles semi-finals for a place in Sunday's final. Nadal has won the first set by 7-6 when reports last came in. In a remarkable game, Rafael Nadal had beaten world number 1 Novak Djokovic by 6-2, 4-6, 6-2, 7-6 to enter the semi-finals on Wednesday.
The Indian Railways is working to expedite plans to revive the Rameshwaram-Dhanushkodi rail line. Nearly 60 years after Dhanushkodi was wiped out by a devastating cyclone in 1964, the Railways is reconstructing the 18-kilometer railway line. A report from the news desk.
The Railways has begun the process of acquiring land for the 733 crore rupee project, for which the foundation stone was laid by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2019. About 28.6 hectares are forest land and 43.81 hectares belong to the state government of Tamil Nadu, while 3.66 hectares are privately held. The cyclone had washed away the track along with a train and other infrastructure, leaving over 100 people dead and bringing to a halt the train service. The project would take around 18 months to be completed and is expected to give a new lease of life to Dhanushkodi through easier access. With input by Subhashree Mahapatra, this is Anuja Kumar for AIR News.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says empowerment of villages is top priority of government, addresses public function at Paronk village in Kanpur. President Ramnath Kovind visits his native village, Paronk in Kanpur Dehat, with Prime Minister Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Government is committed for TB-free India by 2025, says Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia. Centre asks Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Karnataka and Maharashtra to take measures for effective management of COVID-19. Centre directs Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Odisha to take urgent steps to ensure cleanliness during Kedarnath, Amarnath and Rath Yatras. DMRC to begin its services at 6 a.m. this Sunday to facilitate civil services aspirants appearing for examination held by UPSC. 7 charred to death in private bus mishap near Kalburagi in Karnataka. Prime Minister expresses deep grief over loss of lives. Indian Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand defeats China's Wang Hao in the third round to remain on top of the standings in Norway chess tournament. And in the French Open tennis tournament, men's singles semi-final between Rafael Nadal and Alexander Zverev underway at Roland Garros. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on Air app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.
रेडियो के किस्से थोड़े थोड़े सभी के हिस्से। आज का किस्सा है पोस्टमैन का। एक बार पोस्टमैन राकेश ने एक छोटे से घर के बाहर पोस्टर देखा। वो दरवाजे पे वेलकम वाला होता है ना, वैसा पोस्टर। उससे रहा नहीं गया और उसने पूछ लिया,
अरे अम्मा, ये लोग क्यों बोलते हैं मोदी जी मेरा परिवार?
मोदी जी ने तेरे दादाजी का ऑपरेशन करवाया, घर में पानी, बिजली, गैस, टॉयलेट सब लगवाया। नहीं समझा? देख बेटा, जो परिवार का होता है उसका घर में नहीं दिल में रहना जरूरी होता है।
दुख दर्द को बहुत निकट से अनुभव किया, एक परिवार के सदस्य के रूप में काम कर रहा हूँ।
सही है अम्मा, मोदी जी मेरा परिवार।
8 साल सेवा, सुशासन और गरीब कल्याण।